You want to hear the end, don't you? All right, then I'll tell you the end. No worry, Big Spliff the movie. You know what's happening now? You got Palestinian rockets flying through the air, headed for a Jamaican depot of seriously strong marijuana in Jerusalem. You have pilgrims who've been walking from South Africa, from Cape Town by foot. They're arriving outside of Jerusalem. You have a prime minister who loves fish, has just discovered that the terrorist who is held in one of his bunkers is actually his own daughter. And she's in love with a man from Malawi whom he had employed to market marijuana to Palestinians and Syrians and Lebanese and Egyptians and Turks and everybody who lives around Jerusalem. The rockets are flying through the air. The rockets are flying through the air. They are hitting the target thanks to the information given to the Palestinians by our friend from Malawi who was actually a double agent. Explosion after explosion, as ton after ton of seriously strong marijuana goes into the air. As the clouds spread and descend upon every living creature, people just pass out for days. When they wake up, oh, hallucinations, dreams, revelations, confessions, all manners of realizations are going on. Everywhere you go in the city, you just hear people go, all manners of business going on. All manners of creatures coming out of people. Our friends outside the city are not really affected. Our friends down in the bunkers are not really affected. Our friends from Jamaica are used to it. They're just walking around saying, hey, we just lost that stash, didn't we? See, but now that they've tasted what it's like, I'm sure they're going to be back for more, aren't they? Yeah, man, everything cool. Well, down in the bunker, our prime minister used to get messages from the fish, and he gets a new revelation now. Further commandments are coming. The young man remembers that the old man had said that new commandments would come when he reaches there. And the young leader of the South Africans and the Africans and the Asians and the Indians and the Chinese have also reached the city, and they walk around in the city full of people who are dazed, confused, overjoyed, depressed, everybody to the extreme of everything. He too is waiting for a new commandment. The commandment comes to them all at the same time. There is to be a bigger spliff built of certain bigger dimensions and measurements, and they're all to go off on a even longer journey than before. Well, not really much longer, but they still had a way to go. And where was this going to be? Greenland. Greenland. Further than Greenland, the North Pole. The North Pole. Yes. But there's no land and there's no ice at the North Pole. Build a ship. you get to the furthest land, get onto the ship and take the ship right up to the North Pole. And commandment is given that the big spliff must be smoked from the rising of the sun to the setting of the sun, and must be finished, completely finished, between the full rising of the sun and the full setting of the sun. So the whole world in Jerusalem begins to gather around this commandment to take the big spliff up north. I am leaving a lot of details out because you have to see them in the movie. What happens is they all end up north. And what happens is a secret weapon that the young man from South Africa had been given in the form of mushrooms has been commanded to be baked into cakes that everybody must eat of. Everybody eats, everybody gets high, everybody gets the munchies, and they light up this big spliff on the designated day, and they start to smoke it. And the smoke rises up forever and ever and spreads across the earth, making everybody drowsy. Eventually, every city falls under the spell and falls asleep. As they fall asleep, the smokers continue to smoke. They smoke one after the other, one after the other. The oil keeps them smoking. The mushrooms keep them smoking. The rising of the sun in the North Pole to the full setting of the sun in the North Pole is actually several weeks, if not months. So this goes on and on until everywhere people are affected by the smoke. When everybody rises, it's a totally different world. Everybody sees everything differently. If you want to know how they see things differently, my friend, you will have to make the movie. Big Spliff the movie.